Hi guys, we're going to do something different today. Let's take a look at the wax mod for Alps switches, which is a way to restore switches that don't feel very good anymore. Now, as we all know, Alps are highly sensitive to dirt and dust, and heavy use will also degrade their performance, and this wax mod is a recently developed procedure to help and restore some of that, and to simulate the original Alps lube. Now, I didn't come up with it at all, but I'm curious to try it out. I have slightly adapted the original procedure, by the way. For a long time, the lubricant that Alps used to use on their switches had remained a mystery. Even an old Alps line manager I contacted didn't know what it was. I also did a whole video where I tested out different lubes to see what worked and what didn't. But thanks to some sterling work from several people at Desk Authority, we now know the lubes that Alps used on their switches. They are these three. For the SKCL SKCM series, which is the one we're most interested in, it would seem that it's this one, TB2581P, which is a discontinued product from 3Bond. Now, the specs they provided are somewhat vague, but I want to illustrate what they mean roughly, because people seem to not understand the chemical terminology that's being used here. The first ingredient, paraffin-based mineral oil, just means a hydrocarbon-based oil, like this. Lithium soap is a thickener used to make heavy-duty greases, which look like this. And petroleum solvents are things like light petroleum ether, basically low-boiling solvents similar to petrol or gas in imperial units, even though it's not a gas. So basically it's this dissolved in this, dissolved in this. Now, it doesn't exactly take a chemist to figure out that this is not quite the same as this. So this wax mod, as proposed, is not related to the original lube at all, not even close to it. But because the OG lube looks like a dry or dried out thin layer of a waxy material, it physically resembles it. So we're going to see if it's a passing replacement at least. Okay, so to the point, I've got a Next non-ADB keyboard with SKCM creams, which feels fairly horrible due to having been heavily used in its previous life, and we're going to try out this mod and see if it does anything. Warning, it is extremely important that you only use this procedure on older Alps switches, because the newer switches used ABS for the switch housings, which will melt. So only use these on the older types of switches, blue, green, orange, cream undamped, etc. First, take off the caps, obviously, and then take off the housings. Now, I've shown how to do this several times. You can use either toothpicks or small tweezers to do this. Basically, it goes like this. Make sure not to lose the springs and leaves, if they have them. While you've got them open, doesn't hurt to clean out the bottom housings as well while you're at it, if they're dirty. That way they should stay clean for longer when you reassemble them. Same goes for any dirty springs or leaves. You may even consider rinsing them quickly. Be careful not to rust them though. Next, take the housings and the sliders and boil them in a strainer, like this. I'm doing, 15 minutes? Boiling will help clean them, especially the parts where the slider and housings meet, which is where friction and binding come from, I reckon. This procedure won't repair damage to the slider track in the housing, by the way, so if those are particularly bad, maybe you should consider waxing them as well. After they're boiled, rinse them thoroughly with water. Boiling alone doesn't make dirt disappear, after all, it just mobilizes it. I should specify, it doesn't look like the original lube was dislodged by this boiling procedure, but anyway, we'll see if the mod works anyway. Next, take the sliders and put them in a cup like this. Add about a pea-sized amount of wax. I'm using candle wax, as you can see. And add boiling water to it, like so. Then let it sit for a bit. It doesn't have to be long, half a minute or something. Stir it a little bit as well, and because I'm using a red candle, there will be a little bit of red colouring in there, but I doubt you'll be able to see it on the final product. Rinse the sliders off again with cold water, and then let them dry until they're as arid as a bone. Finally, after they dried out, reassemble them and try them out. So, has it worked? No, it feels the same. I inspected the sliders and they still look like they've got a thin coating of material on it, exactly like the original lube. I made this picture under a very specific angle to try and show you the texture. I also didn't see any wax lumps or anything. Maybe I screwed it up, but frankly I don't feel a difference at all. It doesn't even feel better as if it were a simple cleaning, which I had kind of expected at the least. Anyway, some people have reported success with this method, but for me, this time at least, it didn't work. Bit of an anticlimax, I guess, but nonetheless, I hope you found the video useful, if only just as an instructional video or to bring this mod to your attention. And regardless, I'll see you in the next episode.